Hey guys, it's Matt Wenning at WenningStrength.com, and today we're going to talk about a sensitive subject, and that subject is deloading. Now, a lot of people talk about you don't need deloads, and that's absolutely false. You absolutely do. So let's get into it and how we use it here at WenningStrength.com. The first thing that we have to do is we have to define what is deloading. Well, for me, deloading isn't probably what you think it is. It may look like we're going easier, and in some respects we are. But actually, the only thing we're really reducing is the intensity. So step one, in my opinion, deloading is all about reducing intensity, but not necessarily volume. So as you'll see in these workouts that we're posting behind while I'm talking, we're still doing an immense amount of work. So for the warm-up, instead of doing 4 sets of 25, which would allot an RPE of around 4, 5, maybe 6 if you're highly skilled, we flipped the actual exercise amount to sets of 50. Now that's going to reduce the amount tremendously. So as you can see in this video, I'm using a 30 to 40 pound dumbbell versus a 60 to 80 pound dumbbell for warm-up. That drastically reduced the intensity, but the volume is still 100 reps. Same thing holds true with the lat pull down and the tricep push down that you're seeing right now. Those two particular exercises are almost cut in half on the amount of weight is actually on the stack, but the reps have doubled in that set. So it's making the burn pretty extreme, but it's also reducing the RPE or intensity by dropping the amount of weight that we can use. So that's one way we do it. So I think the biggest step that you could think about in deloading is understanding that it's not necessarily not working out. It's changing the stimulus to the point that it's really not the same thing, allowing some healing. Now, what I also like about upwards of over 25 reps on most sets or slowing everything down is the fact that it's going to let the ligaments, tendons, and soft tissue actually heal. So if you've been watching what we're doing on Instagram and posting the workouts that we're doing on Patreon, what you're going to notice is we've been going hard for quite a while, and now this week we're going to let everything step down and we're going to actually recuperate. So deloading is absolutely needed because for most of us, we are going to overreach when we train. So why are deloads needed? Because we overreach when we train. Now, for our body to adapt in a positive fashion, we can't overtrain our adaptability. Now, what does that mean? That means that we only have so much energy that we can positively adapt to in a day, week, month, or even possibly a year. By building in deloads, we are forcing the body to actually heal and then again make positive progress. This gets really difficult for people that like to work out really hard because of the fact that we think if we're not giving 100% every day, that we're not getting any better. Well, that's absolutely not true. I would say, as another rule of thumb, is that deloading ought to be put into most people's programs if you're highly advanced, somewhere around 6 or 8 weeks. And if you're not advanced and don't really understand training very often, you're probably going to need to deload at least one time per month. Now, how these deloads come about may be dependent on what equipment you have. It may be dependent on how amount of time you have. So today, what you're seeing in this workout video, we got this entire workout done in 35 minutes. Now, most of the time, we get a workout done in around 60 minutes. So we've not only cut the amount of intensity down dramatically, but we've also reduced time. So that's another key point. In deloading, don't think of it as not working out. Think of it as cutting back the amount of time in which it takes for that stimulus that day. So if I cut the stimulus in half, then the body is going to recuperate much better. Now, where do we put deloads? Well, usually we put deloads after we've tried an overreaching segment. So last week, we did a really heavy squat with a double blue band. Now, this band is about 200 pounds of tension at the top and 100 pounds of tension at the bottom. So for me, I did a 700 and an 800 pound squat, which was pretty difficult. And then we did a double loop 405 bench, which is 200 pounds of band tension plus 405. Now, these numbers for myself right now at my age and body weight are very extreme. So for this week, which started on Monday, Tuesday, which was yesterday, what we started to do was deload everything and let everything recuperate since we overreached slightly last week. So if you're going through a bout of really pushing the limits, make sure that every 3, 4, or 5 weeks you're putting in a scheduled deload. Now here's what I find is another huge tip. You can either deload or your body will force the deload. What does that mean? Well, usually if you get injured, you're gonna have to deload because you can't do the same amount of work, right? that injury usually occurred weeks before it actually happened. You just weren't listening to your body. You constantly kept trying to overreach. So what I find is that building in deloads every 3 to 6 weeks is a huge proponent of understanding and maximizing your training. The reason that most people don't want to do it is because the entire fitness industry sells intensity instead of smarts. So do some more reading on deloading. You'll find some stuff on overtraining and overreaching. Just remember, it's all about what you can adapt to. And that's what I try to tell people all the time. It's not what you can do, it's what you can recover from. And this is why it's so difficult. We try to get people to come on to online coaching and Patreon to see smarter workouts and get professional help with designing what your body's capable of. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the stress levels that day, your job, how you train, your biomechanics. There's so many other factors that make a perfect program. But deloading, if I don't see somebody when they turn me in a program for say 10, 12, 15 weeks and want me to look at it, and I don't see any scheduled deloads, I can tell you this, it's automatically a bad workout. So visit wenningstrength.com, visit us, and see how to train smarter.